What's up, basketball fans? Today we're diving into one of the most explosive moments in recent NBA history, and trust me, this one hits different. We're talking about the moment Jayson Tatum absolutely demolished Bronny James on live television after being disrespected in front of millions of viewers. This wasn't your typical trash talk between players. This was a generational clash that exposed the raw tension between earned respect and inherited privilege in today's NBA. And it all went down during what was supposed to be a routine pre-game interview. Picture this: ESPN's nationwide broadcast, millions watching, and Bronny James decides it's the perfect time to take shots at one of the league's brightest stars. What he didn't expect was for Tatum to fire back with the precision of a sniper and the composure of a veteran leader. The fallout has been incredible. Social media erupted, NBA legends picked sides, and even LeBron James found himself in an impossible position as his son's comments created a firestorm that reached far beyond basketball. Before we break this down, I need to know where you stand on this. Do you think young players should show automatic respect to established stars, or should they be able to speak their minds regardless of experience? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this debate is splitting the basketball world right down the middle. What makes this situation even more intense is how calculated and devastating Tatum's response was. This wasn't an emotional outburst. This was a masterclass in how to handle disrespect while maintaining your dignity. The man delivered a surgical strike that left Bronny speechless and the entire NBA community talking. Buckle up, because we're about to dissect every moment of this incredible confrontation that's already being called a defining moment for both players' careers. Bronny's shocking disrespect on live TV. Let's set the scene properly because the context here is everything. This was ESPN's marquee pre-game show before a crucial Lakers versus Celtics matchup, the kind of game that draws massive audiences and puts every player under the microscope. The interview started innocently enough, with standard questions about the upcoming game and season expectations. Bronny James, still relatively new to the NBA spotlight, was being interviewed alongside other young players about the next generation taking over the league. The conversation was flowing normally, until the interviewer made what seemed like an innocent comment about established stars, like Jayson Tatum setting the standard for young players. That's when everything changed. Bronny's demeanor shifted, and you could see something brewing behind his eyes. Instead of the respectful response everyone expected, he launched into what can only be described as a calculated attack on Tatum's reputation. "Look, I respect what Jayson has done," Bronny started, but his tone immediately suggested otherwise. "But let's be real about something. He's been getting hyped up as this superstar, this leader. But where are the championships? Where's the consistency when it matters most?" The studio fell silent. You could feel the tension through the screen as Bronny continued his assault. "I've watched him in the playoffs, and he disappears in big moments. He's got all these regular season stats, but playoff basketball is different. That's where legends are made." Hold up right there. I need to pause and ask, was Bronny speaking facts or just being disrespectful? Tatum has had some playoff struggles, but he's also had incredible moments. What do you think was really motivating Bronny's comments here? But Bronny wasn't done. The most damaging comment came next. "Honestly, I think Jayson's just another media darling. The Boston market, the narrative they push, it's all manufactured. When you really break down his impact versus his reputation, the numbers don't add up." The interviewer tried to steer the conversation away, clearly uncomfortable with the direction things were heading, but Bronny had one more shot to fire. "My generation sees the game differently. We're not impressed by pretty stats and media coverage. We want to see real leadership, real clutch performances, real championships." The camera captured reactions from other players in the studio, and their faces said everything. Some looked shocked, others seemed uncomfortable, and a few appeared to be holding back smiles. What nobody knew at the time was that Jayson Tatum was watching this unfold from the Celtics locker room, and he was about to respond in a way that would shock everyone. Tatum's devastating live response. What happened next will go down as one of the most calculated and devastating responses in sports television history. Just 20 minutes after Bronny's comments aired, ESPN received word that Jayson Tatum wanted to respond live on air. The network, sensing the potential for incredible television, immediately arranged for a remote interview from the Celtics facility. When Tatum appeared on screen, his composure was striking. This wasn't an angry player looking to start a shouting match. This was a veteran who had been disrespected and was about to deliver a masterclass in how to handle business. "I just saw some interesting comments from a young player," Tatum began, his voice steady but carrying an edge that made everyone lean in. "And I think it's important to address this because it speaks to something bigger than just basketball." The host tried to set up the response, but Tatum cut through the setup with surgical precision. Bronny, let me help you understand something about respect in this league. You mentioned championships. I've been to the finals, I've been to multiple conference finals, and I've carried my team through battles you haven't even imagined yet. This is where I got chills watching it live. You could feel the intensity building, but Tatum was so controlled. Have you ever seen someone deliver a comeback this calmly while being this devastating? Let me know in the comments. But Tatum was just getting started. You want to talk about playoff performances? I averaged 25 points in the finals against the Warriors, one of the greatest teams ever assembled. I've had 40-point games in elimination situations. What elimination games have you played in? The camera cut to the studio, where you could see everyone processing the directness of Tatum's response. He continued with a line that immediately went viral. The difference between us isn't just talent or opportunity, it's that I've earned every single thing I have in this league. Then came the knockout punch. You mentioned my generation versus yours, and you're right. There is a difference. My generation learned to respect the players who came before us while proving ourselves on the court. Your generation seems to think respect is given, not earned. Tatum paused, looked directly into the camera, and delivered what would become the quote of the year. Here's some free advice, young man. Earn your stripes before talking about mine. Because right now, you're critiquing a player who's accomplished more in 5 years than most players do in entire careers. The silence that followed was deafening. Even the seasoned ESPN hosts seemed stunned by the surgical precision of Tatum's response. The immediate aftermath and social media explosion. The moment Tatum finished speaking, the internet absolutely lost its mind. Within minutes, clips of both Bronny's original comments and Tatum's response were racing across every social media platform. The hashtags #Tatum vs Bronny and Earn Your Stripes were trending worldwide before the actual game even started. Twitter became a battlefield of opinions. NBA fans were split down the middle, with older fans generally supporting Tatum's message about respect and earning your place, while younger fans defended Bronny's right to speak his mind. The divide wasn't just generational, it cut across team loyalties and basketball philosophies. LeBron James, who had been preparing for the game during the entire exchange, was reportedly blindsided by the situation. Sources close to the Lakers revealed that LeBron was furious, though whether his anger was directed at his son for the comments or at Tatum for the response remained unclear. I'm curious about this dynamic. If you were LeBron, how would you handle this situation? Do you publicly support your son, stay neutral, or acknowledge that Tatum had a point? This puts LeBron in an impossible position. Current NBA players started weighing in almost immediately. Kevin Durant posted a simple emoji that somehow said everything. Damian Lillard tweeted, "Respect is earned in this league, period." Meanwhile, some younger players rallied around Bronny, with one posting, "New generation speaks differently, deal with it." The NBA veteran's response was overwhelmingly supportive of Tatum. Paul Pierce, never one to hold back, tweeted, "JT just gave that boy a lesson in NBA hierarchy." Former players like Kendrick Perkins and Matt Barnes dedicated entire segments of their shows to breaking down the exchange. But perhaps the most telling reactions came from coaches around the league. Steve Kerr, when asked about it during his pre-game press conference, said, "Jayson handled that exactly how a veteran leader should. There's a way to carry yourself in this league." The numbers were staggering. Tatum's response video garnered over 10 million views in the first hour. Memes flooded every platform, with the most popular being Tatum's "Earn Your Stripes" line, superimposed over various images of Bronny's limited NBA accomplishments. Sports talk shows immediately reshuffled their programming to address the controversy. ESPN's First Take dedicated their entire next episode to the exchange. Skip Bayless called it the most savage response since Jordan's "took it personal" moments, while Stephen A. Smith praised Tatum for schooling a young man who clearly needed schooling. The controversy had transcended basketball and become a cultural moment about respect, privilege, and generational differences in professional sports. NBA community reactions and behind-the-scenes fallout. The ripple effects of this confrontation spread through NBA circles like wildfire, revealing deep divisions about how young players should approach established stars and what constitutes appropriate criticism in today's league. Veteran players overwhelmingly sided with Tatum, but their responses revealed layers of frustration with the current generation of players. Chris Paul, during his post-game interview, made pointed comments about young players who haven't earned the right to critique accomplished veterans. Draymond Green was more direct, stating on his podcast that some of these young cats need to understand there's a hierarchy in this league. The coaching fraternity was united in their support of Tatum's approach. Doc Rivers dedicated time in his press conference to discuss respect in professional sports. Jayson showed incredible restraint and leadership. He could have destroyed that young man, but he chose to educate instead. Behind the scenes, the fallout was even more intense. League sources revealed that several veteran players reached out to Tatum privately to express their support, while others questioned whether Bronny's comments reflected a broader cultural shift in the league that they found concerning. This brings up something really important. Do you think there's been a shift in how young players approach veterans in the NBA? Is it confidence or lack of respect? I'd love to hear your perspective on this generational dynamic. The Lakers organization found themselves in damage control mode. While they couldn't publicly criticize LeBron's son, sources indicated that team leadership was not pleased with the negative attention the comments brought to the franchise. Some veterans on the team reportedly had private conversations with Bronny about appropriate ways to express criticism. Former NBA players turned analysts were almost unanimous in their assessment. Charles Barkley summed up the sentiment perfectly. That young man just learned why you don't poke the bear when you're still learning how to hunt. The incident also sparked broader conversations about media training for young players and the responsibility of established stars to mentor the next generation. Some argued that Tatum's response was exactly what young players need to hear, while others worried it might discourage honest dialogue about the game. International media picked up the story, with European and Asian sports outlets framing it as a uniquely American sports culture moment that revealed the intense hierarchy and respect dynamics within the NBA. The long-term impact and what it means for both careers. This confrontation will likely define both players' careers in ways they couldn't have anticipated. For Jayson Tatum, the response solidified his position as not just a star player, but a respected leader who commands genuine respect from his peers. His handling of the situation demonstrated the kind of veteran leadership that transforms good players into franchise cornerstones. The incident elevated Tatum's status in crucial ways. Sponsorship executives noted increased engagement with Tatum-related content, and his jersey sales spiked dramatically in the days following the exchange. More importantly, his teammates and competitors gained a new level of respect for how he handled a difficult situation with class and authority. For Bronny James, the aftermath has been more complex. While some viewed his initial comments as unnecessarily provocative, others saw them as evidence of a confident young player who refuses to be intimidated by established hierarchies. The question now is how he responds to this moment. Does he use it as motivation to prove his critics wrong, or does it become a burden that affects his development? Looking ahead, do you think this exchange will motivate Bronny to elevate his game and prove he belongs, or will it create additional pressure that could hurt his development? And for Tatum, does this make him an even more respected leader in the league? The broader implications for NBA culture are significant. This exchange has become a teaching moment about respect, hierarchy, and the proper way to critique fellow professionals. Veteran players now have a template for addressing disrespect while maintaining dignity, and young players have learned that words have consequences in a league built on mutual respect. League insiders suggest this moment could influence how players interact with media going forward. Some young players may be more cautious about making bold statements, while others might see it as a challenge to back up their words with performance. The incident also highlighted the unique pressure facing LeBron James's son. Every comment, every game, every moment is scrutinized through the lens of his famous father's legacy. How Bronny handles this pressure will determine whether he's remembered as the player who learned from this moment or the one who was defined by it. For the NBA as a whole, this exchange reinforced that respect remains the currency of professional sports, regardless of generation or background. And there you have it, one of the most intense and revealing moments in recent NBA history. What started as routine pre-game interviews turned into a masterclass in how to handle disrespect with dignity and devastating effectiveness. Jayson Tatum didn't just shut down Bronny James, he delivered a lesson in professional conduct that resonated throughout the entire league. His response was calculated, respectful, but absolutely lethal in its precision. He proved that you can defend yourself and your reputation without losing your composure or stooping to personal attacks. This moment perfectly captured the ongoing tension between established stars and the new generation of players who are eager to make their mark. But it also showed that some things in basketball, like respect and earning your place, are timeless values that transcend generational differences. The aftermath revealed deep truths about NBA culture, the pressure of living up to famous family names, and the weight that words carry in professional sports. Both players will carry this moment with them for the rest of their careers, but how they use it will define their legacies. For Tatum, this was a defining moment that established him as more than just a talented scorer. He's a leader who commands respect and knows how to use his platform wisely. For Bronny, this could be either a wake-up call that elevates his game or a cautionary tale about speaking before earning your stripes. What's your take on this whole situation? Did Tatum handle it perfectly, or was his response too harsh? Do you think Bronny learned from this experience, or will it create additional pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button if this breakdown helped you understand the full scope of what happened, and subscribe for more deep dives into the NBA moments that everyone's talking about. The league is always evolving, but respect, that's eternal.